Hi everybody, Dacob here. Welcome back to the Fragrant Bunker. Today we're going to do the top 5 Chanel perfumes for the month of June. And June is my birth month, so it's a special occasion to celebrate perfumes. I love to wear perfumes all year round, but my selection in June is always a little bit extra, just fine-tuned to my emotions. If you haven't already watched my top 5 perfumes for the month of June, go check that video out because it initiates the whole conversation about the specificities of emotions within a perfume month and fragrances within the perfume month, the psychology behind it, the emotions behind it. And of course, there were 2 Chanel perfumes in that video. And spoiler alert, of course, they're going to be also in this video because they're in the same month. But everything I say in this video is for entertainment purposes only, not rooted in truths or facts. Everything's alleged and just my opinion. Let's get straight to it. Thumb up the video, subscribe, and the first perfume that you've seen in the top 5 general month perfumes was Cuir de Russie. Now, I have a big tradition of Cuir de Russie in my, I want to say family, but of my family, I think I'm the only one who really loves it so much. So it's not like a family tradition, it's more a Dacob tradition. Man, what can I say? Always cometh June, this perfume just lights up my life. It feels like home. It feels safe. It feels comforting, soothing. You know, there's suede powdery leather in there, like a violety irisy leather. Then there's a lot of rose, aldehydes, of course, woodsy accords. And it's just such, I mean, this is a perfume from the 20s, Ernest Beau original. This is the EDP, but I also wear the now discontinued EDT, and I also love to wear the Extrait. I might just be wearing that one on my birthday. There's a softness to this leather. There's a softness, but yet determination to this leather accord. And it just goes into it takes me places where I want to be without even knowing that I want to be there. It's soft and delicate and yet determined, which is so beautiful considering that, you know, birthdays, they come with a certain type of insecurity, you know, with every year you're getting older, every year on this earth brings you closer to whatever comes after. And I have this whole kind of thought process that I mentioned in my other video, the top 5 perfumes for the month of June, where I talk about, you know, this kind of being born. It's kind of like this, you know, like you're born and the trajectory begins and then life and then slowly it closes and then you pass away. But that passing away is kind of like the closing of what was initiated when you were born. So it's kind of like a circle, like a cycle, like what happens, like what happened before I was born. And I'm not talking about the period after the inception before birth. I'm not talking about those 9 months. I'm talking about where was I before those 9 months? And where am I going to be after my life is over? So will I go back to that same place where I already was? Is there such a place? Is this that place? I prompted Bubbles to generate this background. Isn't it beautiful? So peaceful, tranquil. It is an interior of a building. I wanted basically to create this Chanel boudoir for my birthday where the inside reflects the outside. It's a typical thing for all us second half of June babies and first half of July babies, like the Cancers. We are nest builders. We love to feel comfortable. We like to cocoon. We like that sense of safety, and we love to. We have our basically the entire world. We carry it always within us, always. So this is why I created this idea of the exterior inside. So it's the inside of a house. You can see also the windows there and a curtain that leads to a secret room. But inside the house, nature is thriving. And the wallpaper even is kind of melting. It's wallpaper that is turning into landscapes, and maybe it is a wallpaper, maybe that wall slowly disintegrates and transforms into endless beautiful landscapes of powdery morning dew, honeysuckle, meadows, safety, just that tranquil place where you just float, suspended in midair, totally safe and blissful. Cuir de Russie gives me that vibe. It just does. And it's a perfume that I go back to in June massively. It already starts in May, but then as June comes in and arrives, it's all about Cuir de Russie. I mean, I'm just obsessed with it. Every June, I don't know what it is. Even if I try not to, and I'm like, okay, this year, I've tried in the past years to be like, okay, let me now maybe not fall into the same cliche. I don't know. I wouldn't call it a cliche, but kind of like a repetitiveness, the routine of it all. But then I thought to myself, why fight it? Just go with it. If that's what my soul is craving, go with it. I love Cuir de Russie so much. It gives me vibes of being in Provence, of being somewhere in nature, while you're safe within your own cocoon. Like here, we're inside, but then we are also outside, and it's a stroll through time as well as nature. So it does smell of the past. Not only my own memory, as I've worn this perfume throughout my life for many, many years, but also it reminds me of past lives, of past times, decades and decades in the past, the roaring 1920s, the 30s, the trouble of the 40s, and then the rebirth of society in the 50s. It's such a masterful fragrance, and it is also one of the symbols of the suffragettes, the women movement, and very, very fabulous concept behind this perfume of reclaiming your own power and rights. Very important perfume. So that's my number one for my birthday. And the second one is the flight that takes us on this journey through these landscapes and beyond the mists and the mountains and the fogs and the rains, above, up into the sky, above the clouds, and then all the way into the stratosphere, beyond the ozone layer, into space, and further beyond. And there's only one body that can take us that far, and that would be a comet, or a comète, as the French would call this fragrance. This is Chanel's Comète, released in 2024, but I've already finished an entire bottle. You might think, wait, you haven't even touched it. I've purchased it 1 year ago, and I have emptied. I've emptied my first 200 ml bottle, not a droplet left. I have literally used this up until there's no tomorrow. And I've just recently started my second bottle, so there's already a good old dent in that bottle. This one's going to be, we're going to drain this one dry, also in a jiffy. The way I see Comète is I am traveling. This is more than the comet itself. This perfume is not the actual astrological body of a comet. But instead, this perfume is the fuel that fuels my flight through the skies. Like as if I were that comet flying through the sky, and I need fuel to propel me throughout the universe, right? And that would be this. This juice is basically the fuel to my comet. It's dreamy, it's powdery, it's pink. It's the smell of rosy, powdery pink. Special aldehyde was used in this one to create the sensation of almonds, which create an accord that resembles the poetic idea of cherry blossoms. And then after that, you have orris root accord, gives it a powdery touch, a makeup-y vibe. There's a dryness to this. And then you hit that slightly honeysuckled sweet heliotrope. And then after that, the musks just keep breezy, kind of giving off wafts of pink, dusty, antique rose pink beauty. This perfume leaves a trail of stardust as it passes by you. And as you wear it and you walk through life, you leave that trail of stardust behind you. It's such a beautiful perfume, and it just makes you dream. It takes you to a place where you feel like you're safe again. You're floating slightly above everything else, and like there's no danger really where you are. You are in a safe space, and you can kind of observe the happenings from above, and feel a little bit like you have a breather, like you have an opportunity to take a breath and not have to be fully immersed in all of the crazy happenings in the world today. So this one definitely is a bit of an escapism, if you may, of a perfume. It makes you kind of go places. It makes me think less of what's going on in the world at the moment. And it just makes me enjoy my own solitude. And I'm like a cat. I never get bored. I can spend like days and days and days on my own. Totally fine. Just polishing the dust off of my perfume collection, my toys, reading books, just chilling, listening to music. Like I never get bored. I know some people, they just cannot be alone. They cannot spend the whole day at home. They got a propeller in their butt and they got to do something. Not me. I can just chill forever, and I'm at peace, and I'm completely content and happy to be with myself. I'm never bored. And this perfume is a beautiful companion as I chill throughout the days. It's my birthday month after all. I'm allowed to just chill. Thumb up the video, subscribe if you're enjoying the content. Let's get to my number 3. Number 3 is Coco's kind of goodbye swan song of a masterpiece. Henri Robert is the creator of Cristalle by Chanel. Oh, by the way, Comète, which was released in 2024, still only available as an eau de parfum, was formulated by Olivier Polge. Now we have Henri Robert, who was the last perfumer who worked for Chanel while she was alive. Basically, the two major ones she worked with were um, Ernest Beau, who created the famous fragrances from Chanel, and then you have a short period, not that short, 2 decades, Henri Robert working for Coco Chanel, and then after that, it's Jacques Polge and then his son, Olivier Polge. Henri Robert creates Cristalle shortly after Coco passes away, but it is my belief, and of course, everything I say in this video is for entertainment purposes only, not rooted in truths or facts. Everything's alleged and just my opinion. And in my opinion, Henri Robert delivers a swan song, homage, love tribute to Coco Chanel and her smoking and ashtray cigarettes. She was a chain smoker, and she would have her tantrums, especially in the later years of her life. And she was also quite in pain all the time, and she had issues with certain substances, morphine being one of them, and long story about that and her friendship with Misia Set and how Misia got her hooked on certain substances, and then it was all a big mess. She wasn't eating very much, she was always very skinny, and she was a night walker. She was not a streetwalker. She would walk in her sleep, and then at the Ritz in her little room where she stayed, not in the big room, pre 1938, 1939. We're talking after the occupation. When she got back to the Ritz, she slept in a little tiny room, very close to the rooftop of the Ritz, and it was close to the servant quarters, nothing fancy, and people would like tell stories about seeing her wandering the corridors of the Ritz at night. So it is said that she would sleepwalk or walk in her sleep, and she had terrible visions, nightmares, was very afraid of being alone. That's why she didn't want to sleep in 31 Rue Cambon. because she wanted to um, be surrounded by people and sound all the time. And the Ritz was the closest hotel to her home without it being her home, so she would never be alone. And in one of those incidents, she allegedly fell while she was walking in her sleep, and she broke a few bones, and it was really painful. And I mean, this was already in the 60s, and slowly, as her twilight years were kicking in, things got more and more complicated for her health wise and also psychologically. So she would also have her outbursts of just anger and frustration and God knows what. I mean, when you're at that point in your life, you're also probably reminiscing of your past and thinking about what you would have done differently. I mean, she had a very successful career. I'm not saying a successful life, but I'm saying a very successful career. She managed to build an empire out of nothing, coming from nothing, literally being an orphan, not a dime to her name. A lot of discipline and talent took her very far, and a very keen and acute sense of who she has in front of her. So it is said that she would change the way she would converse depending on who's in front of her. She would never be above you. She would always go to your level to communicate with you. So um, if some state representative were to come to her atelier and were to bring his wife or lover to get an outfit made by Coco Chanel, she would talk to them in a stately manner, dignified, bureaucratic manner. And then if she would have um, an artist like Jean Cocteau pass by, she would talk to him like an artist would talk to another artist. If she would have I don't know, people like Robert Goussens or somebody from his family who would make a lot of the gilded gold bronze pieces for her as costume jewelry or table or furniture. She would talk to him in a technical way. But if a man were in front of her as opposed to a woman, she would also change slightly the tune. There would be a little bit more smiles with the men. I mean, she was a beast when it comes to adapting immediately to every scenario. Very fascinating. Now, I'm a little bit tired of having to repeat this always, but I've noticed that if I don't repeat it, people then leave a weird comment. All of those allegations of Coco Chanel collaborating with the Germans in the 30s and 40s were all debunked. The book that was released in 2011 called Sleeping with the Enemy by Hal Vaughan, from which these big gossip momentum situations initiated. All of those rumors have been debunked. By 2014, 2016, the last documents that were in possession of both the French as well as the British government were declassified finally, and the proof that she's innocent is there. But Hal Vaughan did not publish the book after the last documents were declassified. Hal Vaughan decided to publish the book in 2011, before the documents were declassified. So, if you want to know all the details about Coco Chanel, don't believe just somebody blabbering on, oompa-loompaing, copying and pasting whatever gossip they heard from some other clickbait channel. Read, educate yourselves. I have made a video on my main Super Dacob channel about the 5 books to read on Coco Chanel. And those 5 books is all you need to know what the gossip is and to know what the truth is. So check that video out. So, but that pain and frustration of never really marrying, of never having the love of her life with her throughout life, she was very lonely, very lonely. And she would just, with age, your patience runs thin at a certain point. And she would have her moments when she would have a burst of some type of energy, okay? And it would come across as bitter, but I don't blame her. I don't blame her one bit for that. And then you have that ashtray accord and that dryness that Coco Chanel was so famous for, but she could be very warm as well if she liked you and if she was in the good mood, in a good mood, in the moment, in the right moment. And that's Cristalle. you see. You might have been asking yourself, why is he blabbering on about this? Well, because it's connected to this perfume. This is the last perfume made during her lifetime, as far as we know. Even though it was released after her lifetime, I do believe that Henri Robert thought of her when this perfume came out. Cristalle in the eau de toilette form is my favorite concentration. This is the current formulation of it that comes in this bottle with this stopper. It's not a magnetic stopper. It is a click stopper, and there's a printed silver text on the bottle. So the first batch in this reformulated version of the perfume in the new bottle that I purchased over a year ago, gosh, I guess now it's been 2 years, batch code 8801. It is a Chypre fragrance. There is oak moss in here. There is jasmine in here. There is the aldehydic bitterness of jasmine in here. This is a very dry fragrance. This one does not show too much emotion. And there's an ashtray accord in Cristalle, which you can find much more opulent and present in the first concentrations of this perfume from the 70s. But, you know, this one has marinated and aged very nicely. It is very light now. It's been reformulated, but I treat this as a cologne at this point. I just spray away abundantly when I wear this one, and I usually take the bottle with me and on the go, and then I just kind of freshen up throughout the day. It did have more lasting power in the past. I know some people complain about its current lasting power, but you know what? I'm fine with the current lasting power. I just spray more and more because I see this as a poetic perfume, so it tells me that story of Coco Chanel. So when I'm in the mood to reminisce about Coco's last days, I respray this. So it can be a painful perfume as well if you don't want to relive those last days through memory or through poetry. You know what I mean? So you have to be in a special mood. And my birthday month this year gives me that mood, that slight sadness of twilight and just contemplating, pondering thoughts of, you know, what comes after a life has been lived, and, you know, thoughts that around the birthday month and around my birthday, those are the thoughts I always have. Like it plagues me to think about all these things. So Cristalle is very much the perfume for that state of mind for me this year in June. And also I feel like this setting is so beautiful for Cristalle. I just feel like this perfume fits so beautifully in this special secret nest that I've built for myself, and who knows what's behind that curtain. Usually evening fragrance, and strangely in this month I love to wear it at night, right before bed. Depending when I go to sleep, because depending also when I live stream on my main channel. By the way, go subscribe to me on superdacob as well and partake in the live streams, because you can also, you know, be in the chats, and then we talk about all the topics that we film together. And sometimes when I live stream very early in the morning, and I do for members and patrons an exclusive live stream, I do for everybody another live stream. So after I do 2 live streams back to back, usually I'm done by like 3 p.m. and I collapse exhausted, and then I like wake up at midnight. So, you know, sometimes going to bed is 3 p.m. and I put this on then at 3 p.m. Sometimes going to bed is after midnight, and then I put this one on after midnight. Also, the eau de parfum is really lovely, but it's a little bit more tame, a little bit more friendly. The eau de parfum came in the 90s, and Jacques Polge is the creator of the formulation of the EDP of Cristalle. And the EDP does not have oak moss in it. Okay, so let's get to number 4 as you're thumbing up this video. Thank you so much. Number 4 would be another Ernest Beau masterpiece. So, like I said, Cristalle is Henri Robert, but then we got another Ernest Beau, number 22. Whichever concentration you got, they're all fabulous. The discontinued eau de toilette, the discontinued eau de cologne, as well as the currently available eau de parfum, and the discontinued, for now at least, extrait. I use all of them. This happens to be an EDP, batch code 3501, that is marinated very nicely. It's turning very ambery, golden dark. The vanilla in there is turning dark. That doesn't mean that the perfume is stale, just because the liquid turned from that very light gold yellow to this ambery accord. It just means that the vanilla is oxidizing. Smell-wise, it doesn't mean that the perfume is off. People sometimes ask me, Dacob, how do I know when my perfume expires? Go check out my video on the expiration of fragrances. This one has a little droplet still left on the nozzle because I sprayed this one on earlier. And I see the color. It has that slight ambery color. I wonder, probably this might stain light clothes. Be careful. Oh, Ilang Ilang Tuberose. And this was the Chanel Tuberose perfume back in the 20s. And in fact, 22 also means that it was released in 1922. Ernest Beau delivered this one as the smaller sister of Chanel No. 5, but in reality, this one is a perfume in its own right. I would never deem No. 22 a flanker of No. 5 or in any way, shape, or form more inferior to No. 5. It's perhaps a little bit less abstract than No. 5, okay? Even though it's an aldehyde bomb, this is one of the most aldehydic Chanel perfumes. And by aldehydic, I mean extremely old school aldehydes. We're talking the beginning of the era of aldehydes from the 20s. That's what we have here. This smells extremely historic. This is history in a bottle. Like this perfume, oh man, it's majestic. That orange blossom in here, that ilang ilang, that tuberose, that vanilla, plus that overdose of aldehydes that are like clean linens hanging to dry in a garden in the middle of summer with a breeze and crickets chirping in the background. And you feel like you're close to the water and there's a breeze of the ocean or of the sea. It kind of floats by trees, pine trees, evergreens, but the ones that grow at the Mediterranean with very, very long needles. And the bark and the tree has a very particular type of resin surrounding its pine cones, but also the actual bark of the tree. That resin has a distinct smell. And when in summer the temperature of the air is so overheated, it almost combusts into fire and flames, but it doesn't quite. And then a waft, a breeze of wind just passes by from the ocean, taking that saltiness from the ocean through the trees, catching some of the perfume of the resin. And then it comes to you, while you're sitting on the patio at home, just being lazy in the summer afternoon, and you smell it, and it has a specific smell of history through the ages, that resin mixed with the salty ocean air and crickets chirping and a smidge of petrichor somewhere in there as well. All of that is number 22. But at the same time, clean linens that are drying in the air, you've just washed them, you've hung them up, all of that combined together while you are sipping on your late afternoon aperitivo or light cocktail, something with either Campari or Aperol. Spritz con Aperol would be great. And you hear Coco somewhere in the background talking. All of a sudden, she's alive. It's the 20s, and you're with her. Maybe you're with her at La Pausa in the south of France, close to the water, to the sea, and it's summer, and this is number 22, just takes me there. It's such a vivid, clear sensation of warmth on my skin, the crackling underneath my feet as I walk towards the beach, and I pass and walk over those sun-dried needles that have fallen off the evergreen pine cone trees that have been drying on that soil for hours and hours, sizzling underneath the sun. And as you walk and crackle, you hear that crackle as you're walking towards the beach with the crickets always in the background. Man, that's the vibe. And the silence, the peaceful silence. Oh, I long for that. It's right. It's that in a bottle. Perfect for my birthday month. Just perfect. It just My number 5 is very special to me. We're back to Henri Robert. This time, thumb up the video if you're enjoying it. On this arm, I'm already wearing the eau de toilette, but I want to show you the special extrait. It's number 19, you guys, number 19. The extrait, which is no longer in production. I cannot believe I'm saying this. Every time I say it, my heart sinks. They have discontinued the extrait of number 19. So they still do the eau de toilette and the eau de parfum, and then they do the eau de parfum number 19 poudré. I am wearing the DT, love it. Henri Robert did the eau de toilette in the late 60s, but also he did the extrait. So the extrait as well as DDT both have oak moss in them. And in fact, if we flip back the extrait, you do see it right there listed. Evernia prunastri, oak moss extract is right here in the middle. This is one of the last batches produced. It is batch code 7801. It is one of my prized possessions as a historic kind of element, like the last time they manufactured this. I really hope they bring it back. But if their money greed is anything to go by in that company, then I don't know if they're going to bring this back. If they do bring it back, then I will say kudos to them. But in the absence of the extrait, we still have the eau de toilette and the eau de parfum. The eau de parfum was released in the 90s. Again, Jacques Polge is the creator of the EDP. Henri Robert did the EDT and the extrait only. Now, why number 19? Just like Cristalle, this one is extremely chypre, and those were the days, those were the times. We're talking 50s, 60s, 70s. By 50s, I mean Pour Monsieur, which was also Henri Robert, released in 1955. But then we have the late 60s for number 19, and then early 70s for Cristalle. And that would be the trifecta of the Henri Robert chypres for Coco Chanel. And then later on, we're going to have more modern chypres in the Chanel family, like 31 Rue Cambon, which is another perfume in the Les Exclusives range. But number 19 is a masterpiece on so many levels. It is, again, aldehydes. It's a very green aldehydic chypre. Aldehydes in the opening, and then we have the galbanum, or galbanum, depending on which part of the world you're in. It can be pronounced in different ways, which is the fundamental green accord in this perfume. And then we go through an orris root vibe, a powdery vibe, like a violety accord. And then we go into the oak moss, the woodsy accord, the vetiver vibes. But it is the galbanum or galbanum that in the 70s, so in the late 60s and in the early 70s, in the first formulations of number 19 was harvested, the galbanum was harvested from Iran, and famous for their galbanum. I mean, of course, since the late 60s, it is no longer possible to harvest galbanum from said country, so there are alternatives to it. But if you manage to get your nose on one of the original formulas of number 19, and if you manage to smell that specific type of galbanum that was harvested from Iran, it will bring you to tears. I do have a vintage bottle of 28 milliliter extrait of number 19, and it is on another level. It's on another level of beauty and um, poetry and heartache. I once um, worked with a sales associate from Chanel who is from the region of Iran and from that territory, maybe not that particular state, but in that region where galbanum was harvested, but she was then raised in other countries, but she has a memory of the smell. And I took my bottle, vintage number 19 bottle, the 28 milliliter extrait. I took it with me one day when I knew she was working, and I said, I have a little something for you. And then we took one of those special Chanel porcelain little sticks to test the extraits, and we dipped one each. The first sniff she took, she started crying. It was immediate. There was virtually no time lapsing from the moment her nostrils got a whiff of that perfume and that perfume working its way to the brain and triggering memories. It was instant. The power of that perfume. It was so powerful. So there we were at a Chanel counter, both crying. And that's when you understand the magic of perfumes. So for people like me, while I do understand that for Chanel, sure, it's also about the money. It's about the money. You have a company, it's a business, you're running a business. But you have to understand you're dealing with perfumes, and you are one of the oldest perfume houses in the world still standing that claims to be very proud of their heritage. This is your heritage. Make more money on those ugly ass earrings you sell with the crystals that keep falling off that really cost you nothing to make, but that's where your profits are. Keep selling more of your makeup compacts. That's where your money's at, okay? It's okay if you lose money on this. Keep making it as a statement for the sake of the heritage of the brand and the history and the poetry. Otherwise, why even make perfume? Then just discontinue all your perfumes. Might as well just call it a day. But knowing that you have a formula to something so beautiful and knowing that you have access to the raw materials of the highest quality that you need for this perfume in order to be able to manufacture it, having the access to all of that, and then still deciding to no longer make it, I think that's a sin. I think that's a sin. I think that should be illegal. I think Chanel should be forced to keep making this perfume because once you have struck such high art, to just dismantle it for the sake of more money. You see, that's what Coco Chanel meant when she said the opposite of poverty, or the opposite of luxury is not poverty. The opposite of luxury is vulgarity. Discontinuing something like this is vulgar. So that's my number 5. Because it's my birthday, I want to break the rules a little bit. And of course, I treat myself to a little bonus round. My number 6 is in my little satchel. It's my number 5 in extrait in the spray bottle refill. They've of course, stopped making this one as well. You can get number 5 Parfum in the splash bottle still, but currently the spray is no longer available. And it is not just sold out, it is just not even on the website. It's not even listed on the website. It doesn't exist anymore. This breaks my heart because I love this little lipstick, almost lipstick size. It's a little bit bigger than a lipstick size, but this little lacquered metal container, so beautiful, with a 7.5 ml extrait bottle in it. Like, yeah, I have stocked up on this. I have quite a few of them left, the little internal bottles. So I'm not worried for now, but then I think to myself, well, nothing is forever. So we have our jasmine, patchouli, musks, roses, aldehydes, Ernest Beau 1921 masterpiece, the abstraction of Art Deco, the abstraction of Paris in the 20s, the abstraction of art, emotions, the smell of snow. Man, I mean, I've made so many reviews and videos dedicated to Chanel No. 5. Just go check them out in my library on my channel. What can I say about this one? It will forever be my perfume, Chanel No. 5. Even though sometimes I don't use it as much, I always go back to it. Always, always, always. After everything is said and done, No. 5 is a beacon of light for me. But I gotta say, all of the 6 that I've mentioned today, whether it be the newest, Les Exclusives by Chanel, whether it be the first perfume they created for Coco, whether it be the 20s suffragette movement, Cuir de Russie, whether it be this beautiful, peaceful stroll towards the beach in the 20s, whether it be an ashtray, a bittersweet ashtray, there's nothing sweet about it, or whether it be the mysteries of faraway lands and galbanums that make you dream. Either way you put it, this is kind of my birthday in perfume form. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, thumb it up and subscribe to my channel. And I hope to see you all in my next video. Let me know your favorite Chanel perfumes for the month of June. My birthday is on the 30th of June, in case somebody wants to know, because I know sometimes you ask. A lot of you already know, but some don't. And I know you're going to be asking, oh, when is your birthday? It's the last day of June. Love you loads, guys. Never give up on love. Bye.